What's going on, bro? I'm assuming you clicked on this video because you're tired of all the contradictory advice in the fitness space on how to actually build an aesthetic physique, how to look good, how to feel good without doing a bunch of random, unnecessary bullshit. And lucky for you, you clicked on this video. So it's going to be a 5-10 minute video and we're going to cover a few things. We're going to cover what is an aesthetic body, what should you actually strive for. We're going to talk about nutrition. We're going to talk about should you bulk or cut first, training, how to build muscle, recovery, how to track your progress, how to make adjustments, and then once you actually achieve that physical transformation, how to make the most out of it. Because if you're just jacked and have nothing else going for you, that is what you call a gym cell. Your life is still pretty much the same, and if you spend all this time building a great physique but don't actually apply it in other areas of your life, there's no point. So we're going to cover all of that in this video. Save this and, grab your popcorn. So, number one is what is an aesthetic physique. You don't have to be 250 pounds, 6% body fat, absolutely shredded to the bone, look like you eat steroids for breakfast. You don't need that look to be aesthetic. All you need is significantly wider shoulders than your waist. It's said that the ideal shoulder to waist ratio is 1.6 to 1. And you need a decent amount of muscle mass, and you need to be around, 10 to 15% body fat. If you're 10 to 15% body fat, have decent amount of muscle, pretty strong in a few key lifts, you look good, you'll feel good. That's all you need. You don't need to be Mr. Olympia, Chris Bumstead. That's not the goal here, right? Number two is training. So how do you train to achieve this physique? A lot of times people overcomplicate it and they ask questions like, what's the ideal rep range that you need to be training? And they ask all these nitty-gritty specific questions. The truth is, just train for performance. What does that mean? It means getting stronger over time, improving your recovery, improving your form, improving your endurance, improving the amount of volume you can handle. If you improve all these metrics, and these metrics are based on your performance, your physique will automatically adapt and change to reflect that. For example, if you build a lot of if you build a lot of strength, if you gain, let's say 50 pounds on your bench press, you go from 135 bench to 185, your chest will have no other choice but to grow because you've gained strength. So your body's natural response to that is to add muscle tissue. But if you're lifting the same exact weight every year, every time, you don't improve your strength, you don't increase your strength, then there's no real reason for your body to build muscle or have any sort of response to that. So that's the first thing. Stop trying to ask all these specific questions like what's the ideal rep range, what are the absolute best exercises, what's the best training split. None of that matters unless you're improving your performance and getting stronger. So make that your number one priority. So now that we've decided that, okay, the goal is to improve performance, what are a few things that we should do that align with that goal? So number one is rest times. If you're going to be resting 30 seconds in between sets, it's going to be very hard for you to actually lift an impressive amount of weight or lift more weight than you've lifted before. For this reason, I recommend resting 2 to 4 minutes between every single set. Even if it's a tricep pushdown, rest 2 minutes. Even if it's isolation, at least rest 2 minutes so you have the ability to lift more next set. So you're not hindering yourself and you're just allowing yourself to recover better from set to set. So that's number one, rest times. Number two is rest days. If you're training every single day heavy lifting, there's going to be some sort of toll it takes on your body. You need at least a couple days a week to rest and recover. Now, note that rest days does not mean you just sit on the couch and watch Netflix and don't do anything all day and be a lazy piece of shit. On your rest days, you can do some mobility work. You can play some sports. You can go on a hike. You can go on walks. You can do some stretching. You can do some yoga. Make it an active rest day. Rest day just means you're not lifting heavy, you're not lifting weights during that day, but you can still be active and do other forms of exercise. Now that you're training for performance, you're resting enough, you're giving your body enough recovery, the next thing is you have to be tracking your workouts. Because if you don't track your workouts, you don't actually know if you're getting stronger. So what does this mean? You don't have to do anything super complicated. You can make a Google Sheets, you can use notes on your iPhone, you can carry a notebook. Just write down the exercise, the amount of sets you did, the amount of reps you did, and the weight you did. And obviously, like rest time, you can keep it consistent or you can track it. And then every single workout that you're doing the same exercise, let's say you do the same workouts every week. So then every week, try to get a little bit stronger. So that could even just be adding 1 more rep or adding 5 more pounds. What I recommend is focus on adding reps until you get to at least 10 reps with a certain movement. Then you can increase the weight, and then maybe you can only do 7 reps, and you stick with that weight until you can do 10, 11, 12 reps. Then again, you increase it. Don't just keep increasing the weight if you can't do at least 7, 8 solid reps. And don't just keep increasing the reps if you can already do, 12, 15 reps, no problem. So make sure you're staying within that range of, let's say, 6 to 15 reps. And as long as you're in that rep range and training to failure or close to failure, you'll be good. You don't have to overcomplicate it and get more complex than that. 5 to 15, 6 to 15, that's a solid rep range. And as long as you're progressing in that spectrum, you'll be good, you'll be getting stronger, and you'll have no choice but to build muscle. So that's the first thing, right? Training, the goal is performance, the goal is to build muscle, have enough rest time, track your workouts. Then there's exercise selection. This is not the most important thing in the world, but you want to have an even distribution. You don't want to have a ton of exercises for your chest and legs and then only do one exercise for your back. So I would say make sure you're distributing volume pretty evenly, unless you have a certain muscle group that is lagging or a weakness that you need to bring up. So obviously you have more volume for that. But distribute your volume relatively evenly across all your body parts. I know a lot of dudes like to skip legs. I've done this before my first couple years lifting, but thank God not anymore. Make sure you have an even distribution. And if you need some extra volume on a lagging muscle group, that's fine. You can either give it an extra training day. You can do just a couple more sets per workout. It's up to you. Now let's talk about nutrition. So nutrition is obviously going to be key, because if you got the training down, but you're neglecting your nutrition, you're just going to stay in the exact same position. You're not going to see any results. You won't be able to even get stronger, right? Because you need that fuel to have good workouts, to get stronger. So nutrition, a lot of times people overcomplicate it, and I get it. There's, you see some really fit guy with 6-pack, super jacked, he's doing keto. And you see another really fit guy, he's doing intermittent fasting. Then another guy's doing carnivore, another guy's vegan. All these paleo. There's all these different diets with different names, all claiming to be the best diet out there. So I understand if you're a little unsure, a little confused. But the main things are protein, food quality, and tailoring your satiation to your goals. So I'll talk about each one. Protein, I want you to aim for 1 gram of protein per pound of your goal weight. So let's say you're 250 and you want to get down to 200. Very simple. Eat 200 grams of protein. Now let's say you're 160, but you want to get up to 180. Eat 180 grams of protein a day. Very simple, and you want to try to divide that into, let's say, 3 to 5 relatively even feedings. It'll be very difficult to have all of that in one go or in even 2 goes, so try to spread it out pretty evenly if you can. Next is food quality. A lot of times when people just exclusively focus on counting calories or counting macros, that's all they care about, just the numbers. They get obsessed with, let me hit my calories. I have to hit exactly this many calories, exactly this many protein, fats, and carbs. But they disregard where they're actually getting those protein, fats, and carbs from. A gram of fat from egg yolks, avocados, or olive oil is not the same as a gram of fat from donuts, right? A gram of carbs from sweet potatoes is not the same as a gram of carbs from ice cream. There's different levels to the quality of food. And if you just focus on eating high quality foods 90-95% of the time, you'll just feel better overall. Your appetite will be under control, and you'll end up, eating aligned with your goals. If you just focus on food quality and protein, that will auto-regulate your appetite. And then third is satiation, and you want to tailor your satiation to your goals. So let's say you want to get lean, like that's your priority. You want to lose fat, like you still like to build muscle, but you need to lose a lot of weight. You want to maximize satiation, so you want to make sure every single meal is as filling as you possibly can make it, which means having high volume meals, high protein meals, and high fiber meals. But let's say you're a skinny guy and you want to bulk up, you don't want to make your meals filling, and you want to add, a lot of easy calories like olive oil, butter, avocado, peanut butter, whole milk. Add these to your meals, nuts, and you can increase the calorie intake without increasing how full you feel. And if you, prioritize these things, you don't even end up having to track calories, and you'll automatically be in a calorie deficit or a calorie surplus depending on what you need. So if you focus on protein, focus on food quality, focus on satiation, that's going to be a lot more sustainable approach than just calorie count. Like, you can count every calorie, sure, but realistically, are you going to want to do that for the next 10 years? No, right? You probably can do it for 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks if you're disciplined. But once you get to your goal weight, you probably won't stick with it and you'll revert back to your old habits because all you knew or all you understand is calories in versus calories out, which is true, but it's just one part of fitness. It's one part of nutrition. You want to get an idea of the whole bigger picture so that you don't have to rely on counting calories for the rest of your life. Now let's talk about recovery. Right, we talked about it a bit, but you want to make sure your sleep's on point, you have enough rest days, you have some active rest days, and if you need to, you can do some sauna, some ice baths, some massages. That's all bonus. That's all icing on the cake. But let's focus on sleep. If your sleep shit, I don't care how much willpower, how disciplined you are, you're going to make worse decisions. You're going to cheat on your diet more often. You're going to eat worse quality foods because when you're sleep deprived, your hunger hormones are out of whack. So you're more hungry. You don't feel the energy or the willpower to actually cook something healthy. You rather just eat something quick, fast, cheap, and unhealthy. And your workouts are going to suffer too when you're sleep deprived. Like compare a workout where you had 4 hours of sleep versus 8 hours of sleep. It's night and day difference. You need sleep to fuel your workouts. You need sleep to make the right nutrition choices. So what should you actually aim for with sleep? Number one, I would say try to get a consistent 6.5 to 8 hours of sleep. Obviously, 8 hours is perfect, but if you got a couple young kids, you're not getting 8 hours. So aim for 6.5 minimum every day. Consistent sleep schedule even on weekends. So you don't want to have one sleep schedule for weekdays and then a completely different for weekends. So I see a lot of guys, especially mid-20s around my age, they'll wake up, let's say 7 a.m. on the weekdays, but then on weekends they'll sleep until noon. So that's throwing your whole circadian rhythm out of whack. You want to have a relatively consistent sleep schedule throughout. Also, I recommend 30 minutes before bed, turn off all screens, drink some chamomile tea, and take some magnesium and some glycine, and then take a warm shower. Guarantee you'll have incredible sleep. And then make sure your bedroom is pitch black, not even a bit of light in there. You have solid blackout blinds, and it's pretty cold. It doesn't have to be a specific temperature, but just make sure your room is cool. And if you focus on the fundamentals of training, focus on the fundamentals of nutrition, focus on the fundamentals of recovery, and you understand why you're doing certain things, it's a lot easier to be consistent than if you're just told to do certain things and you don't know the thought process, you don't know the reasoning behind it, right? Now, how do you track your progress? So what are the things you want to track? Number one is I recommend tracking your weight. Track your weight 4 or 5 times a week in the mornings on an empty stomach, and then take your weekly averages. And if your goal is to get lean weight loss, I'd aim to lose around 1 to 2 pounds a week. If your goal is to gain weight, I'd aim to gain around half a pound a week, 2 pounds a month, right? Because it's a lot slower process to build muscle than it is to lose fat. And if you're gaining weight too fast, you're just going to gain a lot of fat. What's the point of that? And if you lose weight too fast, you end up losing muscle, you end up having mood swings, your cravings are all crazy, and there's a high chance that you will binge eat and, go crazy, right? And your hormones might, fluctuate as well. So you want to make sure you're aiming to lose fat or build muscle at a relatively consistent, controlled rate. You also want to track, obviously, your workouts, make sure you're getting stronger. If there's a couple weeks in a row where you aren't getting stronger, make some evaluations. Maybe your sleep needs improvement. Maybe you should prioritize your pre-workout nutrition. What I mean by that is just having some carbs, some honey, some caffeine pre-workout, and just being very intentional with it. Or maybe, you've been drinking a little more. Maybe there's more stress. There's always some reason if you're not able to progress, especially if you've not been lifting for that long. If you've been lifting consistently for less than 2 to 3 years, you can progress every single workout if you want. But you have to track to ensure that you're progressing. So track your weight, track your workouts. If you want, you can take measurements of your waist, of certain muscle groups, so let's say your biceps, and then obviously make sure those numbers are heading in the right direction over time. If you found this video valuable, save it, give it a like, and comment down below anything. I'll choose one comment to get a free month of coaching. Appreciate you guys, and make sure you subscribe.